Joe Biden warns oligarchy is taking shape in America. In farewell address, President sounds alarm about growing power of ultra-wealthy before handing presidency back to Trump. Joe Biden's final address to the nation struck an ominous tone after warning of the growing power of America's ultra-wealthy and cautioning that an emerging oligarchy threatens the foundations of U.S. democracy. The Wednesday primetime Oval Office speech came as Biden prepares to hand the presidency back to Donald Trump, who he defeated in 2020 only to see return to power after Biden's own dramatic exit from politics last summer. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead, Biden said. The president outlined some of his most pressing concerns, including what he described as a crumbling free press, the outsized influence of the military-industrial complex, rising disinformation, and the need to remove dark money from politics. He also called for constitutional amendments to ensure presidential accountability, arguing that no president should be immune from prosecution for crimes committed while in office. His presidency, which began with promises to restore America's soul, ends with him departing after a single term, having abandoned his re-election bid in July under pressure from his own party amid concerns about his age and fitness for office. His endorsed successor, Kamala Harris, subsequently lost to Trump in November's election, despite facing low approval ratings in his final months. Biden sought to highlight his administration's significant legislative achievements, including investments in infrastructure and clean energy, measures to reduce prescription drug costs, and steering the country through the pandemic's aftermath. His administration also oversaw major conservation efforts and worked to rebuild U.S. manufacturing. Earlier on Wednesday, Biden announced a breakthrough ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, securing what could be seen as a final diplomatic victory of his presidency. The deal, which he first proposed last spring, and which Trump's team served as a catalyst in closing, could end a 15-month conflict that has pulverized Gaza, increasingly isolated the U.S. on the global stage, and saw the administration face widespread protests on college campuses and beyond. This plan was developed and negotiated by my team, and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration, Biden said on the impending ceasefire deal. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans. In a letter released ahead of the speech, Biden reflected on his journey from a kid with a stutter from Scranton, Pennsylvania, to the highest office in the land. I have given my heart and my soul to our nation. The president has remained defiant about his decision to withdraw from the race, telling donors last week that he believed he could have beaten Trump, but chose to step aside to unify the Democratic Party. He has also signaled his intention to remain politically active after leaving office, recently telling reporters, "I'm not going to be out of sight or out of mind." The farewell address continues a tradition dating back to George Washington, though Biden delivers his under particularly complex circumstances, leaving office after a single term to be succeeded by a predecessor. He has repeatedly warned poses a threat to U.S. democracy. The speech caps a series of farewell appearances, including Monday's address at the State Department, where Biden argued he had strengthened America's global position. For Biden, who entered national politics as a senator in 1972 and went on to serve as vice president under Barack Obama, the farewell address marks the end of a political career stretching across 9 presidencies and nearly every major moment in modern U.S. history that's transformed American life in ways both celebrated and contested. What I believe is that the America of our dreams is always closer than we think, Biden said. It's up to us to make our dreams come true. Polish PM accuses Russia of planning acts of terrorism around the world. Donald Tusk claims Warsaw has been involved in countering acts of sabotage, referencing incendiary parcel attacks in Poland and the UK-Russia plan to conduct acts of terrorism in the air. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said on Wednesday, by plotting a wave of firebomb attacks that could have brought down planes mid-flight around the world, Warsaw had been involved in countering acts of sabotage conducted by Russia, Tusk added, before he referred to incendiary parcel attacks that took place in the UK, Germany, and Poland during the summer. The latest information can confirm the validity of fears that Russia was planning acts of terrorism in the air not only against Poland, Tusk told a news conference in Warsaw. Though he did not offer more detail or explanation, the DHL parcels caught light at a warehouse in Birmingham and on the tarmac at Leipzig airport in July. Media reports said that the Leipzig parcel was about to be loaded onto a plane, while the Birmingham device traveled on a flight before causing a fire. Two other incendiary devices were found in Poland, and Western leaders and intelligence officials believe the crude plot to post fire bombs by parcel was orchestrated by Russia as a dry run for further attacks in the U.S. A report in the New York Times earlier this week said that senior White House officials reviewed presumably eavesdropped details of conversations amongst senior officials in Russia's GRU military intelligence. The Russians, the paper reported, had described the incendiary devices as a test run for an attack on the U.S. Senior officials were dispatched by U.S. President Joe Biden to warn Russian leader Vladimir Putin, via their counterparts, that Washington would hold Moscow responsible for enabling terrorism if the plot developed further. The devices that caught light in Birmingham and Leipzig were originally posted from Lithuania, with at least one hidden in a massager. The simple method appeared to have exposed a weakness in security scanning for parcel services. Safety procedures are said to have been quietly tightened up, though very few statements have been made to reassure the general public. In September, the then head of Germany's domestic intelligence agency, Thomas Haldenwang, told the Bundestag that, had the Leipzig package started burning during a flight, it would have resulted in a crash. Photographs of the fire in Birmingham, published The Guardian in December, show a crate of parcels being carried by an electric vehicle bursting into a bright flame, suggesting that it could have created havoc had the parcel caught light mid-air. The light is consistent with a magnesium-based incendiary device. Magnesium fires are difficult to put out and are worsened if water is applied, knowledge that may not have been readily available to an under-pressure air crew. Special dry powder extinguishers are used instead. Russia's foreign ministry did not reply to requests for comment. Moscow has regularly denied any involvement in the Courier Depot explosions, as well as break-ins, arson, and attacks on individuals that Western officials say were carried out by operatives paid by Russia. We defeated in 2020 only to see return to power after Biden's own dramatic exit from politics last summer. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead, Biden said. The president outlined some of his most pressing concerns, including what he described as a crumbling free press, the outsized influence of the military-industrial complex, rising disinformation, and the need to remove dark money from politics. He also called for constitutional amendments to ensure presidential accountability, arguing that no president should be immune from prosecution for crimes committed while in office. His presidency